The birth of a celestial healer. In the golden halls of Nibiru, where towering spires glowed with an ethereal radiance and rivers of liquid light coursed through the capital, a child was born beneath the watchful gaze of twin suns. Her name was Ninma, later known as Ninhursag, a daughter of King Anu and a woman whose lineage was whispered to trace beyond the stars, to the distant houses of the Andromedan Greys or the noble blood of Alpha Centauri. From the moment she took her first breath, the fate of worlds seemed to swirl around her. She was no ordinary royal. Where others sought dominion, she sought understanding. Where the lords of Nibiru played in the courts of power, she wandered through the grand academies of medicine, her golden eyes alight with unquenchable curiosity. By the time she reached her first century of life, a mere fraction of an Anunnaki's eternal span, she had mastered the sacred arts of healing. She could mend flesh with a touch, soothe agony with a melody. Her voice, infused with the harmonics of the cosmos, could vibrate through the very fabric of existence. When she sang, the stars themselves seemed to listen. The dying world. But as her wisdom grew, so too did the shadows creeping across Nibiru's sky. The once lustrous golden shield, a field of suspended particles that encased the planet, protecting it from cosmic storms, began to wane. The heavens dimmed, and the nights grew colder. Nibiru, the mighty jewel of the celestial empire, was dying. King Anu and his high council convened in desperation. The answer, they decreed, lay in the depths of an ancient world, Earth. Rich with gold, its mines could provide the precious element needed to restore Nibiru's shield. The mission was set. Armadas of celestial ships would descend upon the blue planet and harvest its lifeblood. Ninhursag, though no warrior, volunteered. "If we are to take from this world, we must give life in return," she declared. The council scoffed at her sentimentality, but King Anu, ever wise, saw purpose in her words. And so she departed, not as a conqueror, but as a healer, the Martian outpost and the fallen king. Before reaching Earth, her journey brought her to a desolate wasteland, the red dust of Mars. There, in the ruins of an abandoned Anunnaki outpost, she found the remains of the once mighty King Alilu. He had challenged Anu for the throne and was exiled to this barren world, where he had perished alone, his once magnificent body now lifeless stone. Beside his remains lay another, Commander Anzu, barely clinging to life. His breath was shallow, his body torn by Mars's merciless storms. Without hesitation, Ninhursag knelt beside him, her hands glowing with the sacred power of the healer's song. The frequencies of her voice resonated with his broken cells, knitting together what had been lost, and Anzu lived. In honor of Alalalu, she oversaw the carving of his likeness into the face of a great Martian mountain, a solemn reminder of ambition, exile, and the fleeting nature of power. Before departing, she established a way station there, ensuring Mars would serve as a critical bridge between Earth and Nibiru's salvation. The arrival on Earth. When she finally stepped upon Earth, it was not with the heavy boots of a conqueror, but with the bare feet of a mother touching sacred ground. The air was thick with life. The rivers sang with unbridled energy, and the creatures, primitive but brimming with potential, gazed at her with wonder. But not all was well. The Anunnaki who had arrived before her, led by her half-brothers Enlil and Enki, had fallen into discord. The labor was grueling. They had come as gods, but now they toiled like mortals, digging the veins of the earth for gold. Rebellion brewed in their hearts. It was Enki who proposed the impossible. Let us create a being to share our burden. The birth of humanity. Together, Ninhursag and Enki worked to sculpt a new form of life, one that would walk between the divine and the mortal. Many failures came before the first success. Creatures emerged with twisted limbs, dull minds, or spirits too weak to sustain themselves. Time and again they tried, until finally, Ninhursag took the boldest step of all. She inseminated herself with the essence of both Anunnaki and Earth's native species. After 10 cycles of the moon, she bore a child unlike any before him, Adamu. He was strong yet graceful, intelligent yet obedient. His body could withstand the hardships of labor, yet his mind thirsted for knowledge. When she looked into his eyes, she did not see a slave. She saw a son. The struggles of the gods. But as humanity flourished, so too did tensions among the gods. Enlil saw them as mere tools, destined to serve and obey. Enki saw them as children with the potential to rise. Ninhursag, caught between them, fought for their right to live not as servants, but as beings of their own destiny. Wars raged in the heavens and on earth. Blood was spilled, temples were built and destroyed, and through it all, Ninhursag stood as the silent guardian of humankind. When the great deluge came, when the gods themselves turned against their creation, she whispered secrets of survival to those who would listen. The fall of the mother goddess. As the ages turned, new powers rose. The world became patriarchal, and the once revered mother of creation was slowly erased from the annals of history. The names of her brothers, Enki and Enlil, remained, but hers faded into whispers. Her temples were abandoned, her symbols forgotten. Yet her influence never truly vanished. The echoes of her teachings lived on in myths, in the stories of great mother goddesses across the world. Isis, Hera, Freya, and deep within the earth, hidden in the sacred halls of lost civilizations, the genetic code she guarded, the blueprint of humankind's divine origins, still lay waiting. The return of the divine. Legends speak of a time when the gods will return, when the sky will open and the forgotten queen shall descend once more in her crystalline lotus, her voice weaving the sacred song of creation. Some say she never truly left. She watches from the hidden corners of the cosmos, waiting for the moment when humanity will remember the mother who gave them life. Not as masters and slaves, but as children of the stars, destined to rise. And when that moment comes, her voice will be heard once more, resonating through the bones of the earth, singing the song that binds heaven and mortal as one. The hidden temples of the Great Mother. Though history sought to erase her, Ninhursag's presence was never truly forgotten. Across the earth, in the deep jungles of Mesopotamia, beneath the golden sands of Kemet, and in the ice-covered ruins of Hyperborea, her name remained etched in stone. In Sumer, her temple at Kish still whispered her secrets to those who dared to listen. Priests and scholars, speaking in hushed voices, guarded the ancient scrolls, detailing her sacred knowledge, the lost arts of life creation, healing, and the manipulation of genetic codes. These were teachings far beyond mortal comprehension, preserved by a chosen few. But the world had changed. The gods of old had grown silent, or so it seemed. The gathering of the lost ones. Far beyond the reach of time, in the celestial halls of the Anunnaki, there was unrest. Ninhursag's influence had waned, but there were those who still held her wisdom in the highest regard. A faction of the old ones, keepers of the ancient bloodlines, believed that the time of the Great Mother was not over. Among them was Thoth, the scribe of eternity, who had witnessed the rise and fall of empires. He had traveled between worlds, chronicling the destinies of mortals and gods alike. And he knew that Ninhursag's work was not yet complete. One night, beneath a sky filled with twin moons, Thoth called upon the last of her loyalists. From distant star systems they came, beings of luminous forms, hybrids of forgotten bloodlines, and the remaining daughters of the House of Life. They gathered in the ruins of a temple long abandoned, a place where the walls still hummed with residual energy from an age when gods walked freely among men. And there, in the sacred darkness, a revelation was spoken. The Great Mother is not gone. She is waiting, and the time of her return is near. The rise of the silent war. But not all welcomed this prophecy. In the courts of Enlil, where power had long since eclipsed wisdom, whispers of rebellion spread. If Ninhursag were to return, the old ways would be restored. Balance would be brought back to a world that had been shaped by greed, war, and subjugation. And so the silent war began. It was not a war of armies, nor of great battles fought with swords and fire. It was a war of knowledge, a battle waged in the shadows, where lost scrolls were destroyed before they could be read, where the last priests of the old order vanished without a trace. It was a war fought in the blood of humanity itself, as the rulers of earth sought to erase all traces of their true origins. Yet the resistance endured. In the hidden libraries of Alexandria, in the sealed vaults beneath the Great Pyramid, in the underground temples of the Andes, fragments of the truth survived, and with them the legacy of Ninhursag. The awakening of the sleeping goddess. Time moved as it always did, indifferent to the struggles of mortals and gods alike. But something stirred. Deep within the ancient vaults of Nibiru, where technology and mysticism intertwined, the last remnants of the Mother's Code, an archive of genetic sequences older than the earth itself, began to hum with life. The energies that had once been dormant flared awake, as though responding to an unseen force. Somewhere, far beyond the known worlds, something called to her. The stars shifted. The fabric of reality trembled, and in a place where no mortal had dared tread for eons, a figure stepped from the void, cloaked in the energy of forgotten worlds, her golden eyes gleaming with the knowledge of creation itself. She had returned.